Lady, the Chair will now recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Mica.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, Mr. Elkins, I've heard that you've said to the committee that you think measures have been put in place that so this could not happen again. Is that correct?
Mr. Mica, actually, Mr. Perciasepi made that statement.
Well, do you agree with what he said, based on your investigation, what took place?
Well, at this stage of the game, since we have not completed our audit, I can't really speculate whether or not that was.
So we don't know. But this is an incredible tale of ripping off the government for 2 decades, and it's also astounding. And I wasn't here; I had to run to the floor, but to find out that this individual is going to get his retirement. Is that the case again, Mr. Giuseppe?
I can only say at this time, Congressman, we're looking into that. I mean, obviously, we had to wait for the investigation to be completed. Obviously, it was it was put before the judge on Friday. So we are going to look into all avenues to collect money that might be due to the federal government.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a further question. How would you describe the relationship between Mr. Beall and Ms. McCarthy?
I think Administrator McCarthy was suspicious of all of these activities, and I recognize that we can parse through how many months here or how many months there, but the bottom line is she was the first person since 2001 that actually questioned these activities, and which led ultimately to the Inspector General's report. Trying to check out somebody's personnel status it doesn't necessarily require the IG as a first step, but I recognize that we need to make sure that we're following up with the IG on these matters. So we did do that, and the investigation has been completed, and we now see what we see here. But I want to point out, she is the one that precipitated that, how many months one way or the other.
Let me ask Mr. Sullivan a question. And can we put the slide up? I think it's slide 8. It's an email from Ms. McCarthy in February of 2013, a month after her last email questioning Mr. Beall's work status. This email is about the fact that she is now cutting off his retention bonus. Mr. Sullivan, for how long had Mr. Beall been receiving these bonuses?
He'd been receiving them continuously since 1991.
It seems strange and ironic that someone who had stated they retired is receiving a bonus, which was, in fact, the bonuses I thought were designed to keep people from leaving the agency. Even if the facts of Mr. Beall's situation were true, would his covert activities warrant a retention bonus?
I don't want to offer an opinion on that, sir. I don't know. All I can tell you is that he continued receiving them up until 2013.
Well, again, it's incredible of all these this time that passes, gaming the system, then at the very end, continuing to game it to receive a bonus designed to keep people from the agency, and he was set to leave. That is just beyond the pale. Mr. Elkins, would you like to comment?
Sir, clearly there were some internal controls that were not functioning properly, and to that extent, that would be the extent of my comment.
Well, again, when we're facing, well, today's the government shutdown, but we are facing financial bankruptcy of the nation in a couple of weeks, with our debt have exploded from the beginning of this administration from $9 billion to $9 trillion to $17 trillion, and soon asking for nearly another $1 trillion to keep us afloat. And people see this kind of money going out to someone who scammed the system. It's greatly disappointing, disheartening, and very sad for the American taxpayer. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Thank the gentleman from Florida. The chair will now recognize the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Maloney.